All right, welcome to the Roger That Fantasy Football Show. We have another highly requested video. Today we are giving you one wide receiver each. So you're going to get 3 total to avoid in your fantasy football draft this year.
Roger that. Roger that. The Fantasy Football Show. We have your championship rings on.
We're going to jump right into it. Cam, who is your first wide receiver to avoid?
When I hear wide receivers to avoid, it can mean 2 things. One, it can mean just avoid them completely. I don't want them on my team. That's not what I'm saying here. As of right now, this receiver he's about the 16th to come off boards, and that's Courtland Sutton. And it's nothing against Courtland Sutton. But Jake, I have a question for you. Did you watch the NFL draft?
I haven't missed a pick in 12 years.
Can you just rattle off some names that the Broncos, who did they pick?
Yeah, Judy, KJ Hamler, your boy, and Albert O is another pass catching target there.
I mean,
as well at tight end.
Just listen to this. Listen to this offense right now. Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Courtland Sutton, Noah Fant, Melvin Gordon, Phillip Lindsay, and Albert O. If you're Drew Lock right now, is he about to put up Madden stats?
Yeah.
I mean,
he could.
Courtland Sutton is a great receiver, but his volume is going way down. You don't draft a receiver that early or 2 receivers that early if you don't want to get them involved right away. Also, another stat that I have, the Denver Broncos were 20th in rushing offense. And what did they do? They went out and they got Melvin Gordon. They did not need to get Melvin Gordon. Phillip Lindsay and Royce Freeman that's a good duo right there. I mean, Phillip Lindsay, what was it, a year ago, was in the Pro Bowl?
Yeah, you had him and you loved him.
The way I'm seeing it is I'm going to see some 2 running back packages. You're going to want Melvin Gordon and Lindsay on the field at the same time. But they also went out and got Albert O. Albert O and Fant, I think they're going to have 2 tight end packages too. So I think they're going to look to establish the run, and they're going to get Melvin Gordon the football because once Melvin Gordon gets going, he's one of the top running backs. And I think Melvin Gordon is very undervalued right now, and I will be taking him earlier than others. But I'm not taking Courtland Sutton in the back end of the 3rd, 4th round. If he's there in the 5th, 6th, maybe, but I just think his volume's going down because that offense has a lot of mouths to feed. Nothing against Courtland Sutton.
Yeah, you hate to have that guy potentially be your number 2 receiver, and then have games where he's just not targeted, and Judy or Hamler go off.
So this is a guy that we have 1,000,000% seen succeed in the past. But in terms of 2020, in terms of expert mocks, he is going anywhere from 29th to 110th.
Sheesh.
There is some serious
real stat.
Yeah. So it's like people don't know draft this guy. It's Stefon Diggs. Obviously, new team, knew him. Everyone's trying to think, oh my God, now he's going to be the weapon in that offense. You know me, I love Adam Thielen. I always thought Adam Thielen was the number 1, but Stefon Diggs definitely got his fair share of glory in Minnesota. Going to Buffalo now, people are saying, Stefon Diggs going there, and everyone thinking, oh my God, he's on offense. I don't see it happening. I see him plummeting. He's got the 31st hardest schedule in terms of wide receivers this year in 2020. And I just think wide receivers go there to die. We've seen so many wide receivers leave Buffalo and succeed. Sammy Watkins, probably most recently. Wide receivers, they leave Buffalo and they succeed. I see Stefon Diggs kind of doing what he did last year. If you look at the stats, games where Adam Thielen was out, Stefon Diggs was nowhere with Adam Thielen sidelined, where he should be the guy, where he's going to be the guy in Buffalo. Stefon Diggs was doing close to that, close to nothing. And, just throw on the fact that 1, it's Buffalo. 2, Josh Allen, obviously not a pass-first quarterback, or I guess you couldn't say pass-dominant quarterback. Still a young quarterback. I just don't see him striving there. Am I going to say he's going to suck? Yeah, pretty much, actually.
Now, Evan, I have a question for you.
Hit me.
So Josh Allen had a pretty good year last year, and him and John Brown really, John Brown was...
Smokey Brown?
He had an unbelievable year. Probably compared to his ADP. And now that they get Diggs, do you think that they may – I know they're a run-first team, I mean, they drafted Zach Moss. They have Singletary, who, I mean, I'm early this year. I think he's going to have an unbelievable year. But do you think that now that they added another weapon at the receiving core, do you think that they even throw a little bit more, kind of trust Josh Allen?
Yeah. To answer your question, yeah, it kind of goes back on what I've been saying about Stefon Diggs. But my whole thing is Josh Allen, I don't see him as this absolute pocket passer, dead-eye quarterback. He's a deep ball thrower. He can sling it a mile. Guess what? Stefon Diggs, sure, he's a deep threat, but Stefon Diggs strives in saucy route running. I don't see him coming out of a break and the ball being right there from Josh Allen. So, yeah, it makes sense that him and Brown would kind of go off together. Stefon Diggs, I don't see it being the same situation. I see Stefon Diggs, the guy being possibly getting open and just not being on the same page. But again, I'm going back on this past season was 1,000,000% Stefon Diggs' chance to say, hey, I can do it too. And he didn't. Thielen was either banged up or out for most of the season. And Stefon Diggs really didn't perform like we have seen him perform with another elite wide receiver on the field before. It's my story. Sticking to it.
And one thing I think about is I think we've heard the past 2 years that Diggs wanted out of Minnesota. So, I mean, do we think that could have played a role in his production? Because I know that, I mean, I'm a Patriot fan. So, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I heard the rumor that Diggs was looking out of Minnesota. They were going to trade him and that he wasn't happy. And, I mean, obviously we don't know if that was true, but, I mean, that definitely could have had impact if true. But, I mean, I guess we'll never really know if he really did Minnesota that bad.
I'll say this. So this is obviously our wide receivers to avoid, right? I'm going to harp on that word. I know I kind of made jokes and said Stefon Diggs is going to do nothing this year. That's not the case. I'm just trying to avoid him. Cam, if you draft Stefon Diggs, or Jake, if you draft Stefon Diggs in our league and he produces towards the value of which you drafted him, fine. You know, no hard feelings over Stefon Diggs. But honestly, I think the chances are greater that he's going to underperform. And that's just how I feel. So I want to harp on that word. It's a wide receiver to avoid.
And you know, Diggs loves throwing up those eye emojis on
Yeah.
Twitter. That's his big thing. How long does it take for him to get overthrown by, Allen a couple times, and then those eye emojis come back up on Twitter? I mean, I'm week 7 is my bet on that one.
Keeping track of that. Week 7, lock it in.
Week 7.
First eye emoji.
Diggs will throw the eye emojis up. So my guy, and this hurts me to say, because I think you guys know how much I love this player. And every single year, I was like, it's his year. And then it didn't happen. And I said, it's his year. And then it didn't happen. I said, it's his year. And then the year I didn't take him, last year, Devante Parker finally has a breakout year. I mean, he was one of the breakout players in the league last year.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it pains me to say this, but I'm avoiding Devante Parker at all costs this year.
Even with Tua?
And that's one of the reasons why I think I don't know who's going to play quarterback for them, and I think that instability they're going to have is kind of an issue as well. But the one thing that really catches my eye, and I was looking over Devante Parker's numbers earlier, was in weeks 1 through 8, he was out-targeted by Preston Williams, the undrafted rookie wide receiver, 60 targets to 52 targets.
Wow.
Preston Williams blows out his knee, and then Devante Parker really took off that second half of the season. Well, Preston Williams is back. And so, for me, it's really alarming that it took him that long to break out, and then he was getting beat out by an undrafted rookie in his first year. I just think last year for Parker was an outlier, not the norm. And I think he's going to regress back to that mediocre receiver who's going to be overdrafted this year. Someone's going to take his targets, is going to outperform him. And I just think he's a guy that I'm staying completely, like, I don't care what round. I'm done with Devante Parker. I'm done with him.
Good boy.
It's so weird.
I can't go back. It's like a bad ex. Can't go back to him.
The amount of times. So we have our little behind the scenes. We have our draft that all three of us are in the league. We have our draft in one location. We do a live draft, an in-person draft. The amount of times I've been riding shotgun in Jake's car and he's talking about Devontae Adams on the way up to the draft is absurd. And to hear him now on the show saying that's his wide receiver to avoid, Cam, there's something going on with Jake. This is unheard of.
I never thought that you would be that disrespectful to Devante Parker. That's your boy.
I know. Broke my heart too many times.
Well, you know, it's probably the right.
That's like, think with your head sometimes. You just gotta go with your heart.
How upset will you be if he
pops off again next year? I'm just like, it's just.
You might have to quit fantasy.
I might have to quit fantasy. I'm gonna talk more trash to Devante Parker than Michael Thomas did. I don't know if you saw that.
I did.
Beef they had. Yeah, a little beef. I'll go in Parker's DMs. I'll slide in there, talk some shit.
Yeah, right. It would take 2 seconds before you start fanboying and being like, "I believed in you and no one else did." But all right, so there we have it. We have Cam's wide receiver to avoid, Courtland Sutton. We have mine, Stefon Diggs, and we have Jake's, one of his,
crazy
bragged about players, Devante Parker.
No more.
Yikes. But that's another video of the Rogers That Fantasy Football Show. Guys, please make sure you're following us on, Jake, I'll give you the shout out here. Make sure you're following us on TikTok, blowing up there, on Instagram.
Roger That Fantasy.
On Instagram, both of those, Roger That Fantasy.
Make moves.
We are making moves. Roger That to the moon. And follow us on Twitter at Roger That Pod. And, hit that subscribe button on the YouTube page. We're growing here.
Soon.
We have your championship rings on, Cam.
Lock.
Let's get it.
Drew Lock.
Okay.
Sorry, you could cut that.
I'll cut that. Yeah, right. I'll see you guys in the next video.